I found a matchbook in her coat. It led me to the night she forgot she was married. If lies make a sound, I hear them before I see them. That's the curse of being an acoustics engineer. My days are spent teaching rooms to tell the truth. I can hear the flutter echo in a cathedral, the dull thud where a stage eats a soprano's high note, the soft catch in a throat when a simple answer isn't simple. The night it started, the apartment had the hush of late winter and our radiator's old hymn in D. I reached into my wife's camel coat for the house keys and came out with a black matchbook stamped Vesper in gold and a kiss of coral lipstick across the cardboard sleeve. Mara never wears coral. She's a burgundy woman, quiet and certain, like a secret only I know. I thumbed the matchbook and felt that tiny bar of heat in my chest, the one you pretend is nothing until it catches the drapes. "Find your keys," she called from the bathroom, where steam draped the mirror and her humming slid up the scale. "Found something," I said, and set the matchbook on the counter as if it could just be another pretty thing. She patted out in a towel, all damp shoulders and the slow confidence that still undid me. She smelled like orange blossom and pepper. "Vesper," she read, tilting her head. "Oh, the client dinner last week. The PR girl gave everyone those. Isn't it chic?" Mara's a curator, the museum kind. She can catalog desire and display it in the perfect light. She gave me a smile like gallery glass, perfectly transparent, perfectly between us. "Very chic," I said, and placed the matchbook back in her coat as if returning a borrowed book I had only skimmed. She kissed my cheek, left a crescent of warmth there, and I told myself I believed her. The next afternoon at the lab, while a row of speakers sighed pink noise at me, I Googled Vesper. Basement jazz, velvet booths, a staircase too proud for the room beneath it. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself trust is the opposite of surveillance. I told myself a lot of things that sounded correct but didn't silence the echo. 2 nights later, Mara suggested something playful. We'd been in one of those domestic ruts where you share space and schedules but not the spark that named you. She poured wine and leaned against the counter, the towel now swapped for a silk shirt unbuttoned just past respectable. "Maybe we try an experiment," she said. "Novelty, like little adventures with rules. Flirting, not breaking." Her tongue stumbled on breaking. I heard it, the room did too. "What kind of rules?" I asked. She laughed, the note landing somewhere between mischievous and weary. "Transparency. We tell each other everything. No secrets, no physical, just oxygen." "I'm not sure I need other people's oxygen," I said. But her collarbone caught the light, and I remembered the first time I'd traced it with my mouth, and felt how easily skin can argue you into yes. We danced in the kitchen, bare feet on tile, the song slow enough that our hips set their own tempo. She slid her hands under the back of my t-shirt. I slipped my fingers beneath silk to the warm line where her spine meets a waist I'd memorized like a favorite passage. It was erotic in the way a closed door is erotic. You can feel the power of what you're not doing. YouTube would approve. Heat, not detail. Tease, not diagram. We stopped when we wanted more than the rules allowed. She rested her forehead on my shoulder, breathing like confession. "Okay," I whispered into her hair. "Adventures with rules." Saturday night, I put on a jacket that reminds me I can still look like the man in our wedding photos and took myself to Vesper. Curiosity isn't disloyalty, I told myself. It's data. The doorman looked like he judged souls by the cut of their coats. Inside, the band fed the room a warm pulse, and the bartender slid a napkin toward me with the bored grace of a man who knows which marriages spend well in the dark. I heard Mara before I saw her. Her laugh has a bright harmonic, a second note that rides on the first. She came down the staircase the way a promise enters a room, not loudly but with gravity. Coral lipstick, like the ghost on the matchbook. Burgundy had the night off. A man followed, a familiar slope of shoulders, a gray suit cut with quiet money. Rowan, my best friend since university, the kind of person people trust with passwords and last wills. I watched his hand hover an inch from the small of her back, not touching, wanting. The space looked louder than contact. I didn't stand up, I didn't cause a scene. I'm good at rooms. I hid inside the noise and let the band cover me while I did the math. If this was harmless, why the new lipstick? If it was play, why did the air taste like flint? The singer bent toward her mic and sent the room a secret. Beside me, a woman in a leather jacket and camera strap leaned her elbow on the bar. "They look like they're auditioning for the part of Almost," she said, nodding toward Mara and Rowan. Her eyes were filmmaker eyes, calm, amused, unafraid of messy truths. "I'm Owen," I said, "because names keep you from drifting." "Cam," she said, "I make little movies about people who think they're private, you waiting for someone." "I thought I was," I said. It wasn't fair to her to tip my mess onto a stranger, but the words must have carried something honest because she didn't flinch. She ordered 2 club sodas and slid one to me like we were already allies. The glass was cool. The lemon cut a bright path through the room's velvet. "Whatever this is," she said softly, "you don't have to decide tonight." She fastened a lav mic to her own blouse with a laugh at the irony. "Work weirdness," she said. "An art collective upstairs. People confess into a camera about the first time they lied to someone they loved, then turn it into an installation." She rolled her eyes. "New York, where feelings get better lighting than people." "Sounds like hell," I said, and managed to smile. Rowan and Mara didn't kiss. I will always have that scrap of mercy in my pocket. They did what people do when they're about to: body angles, shared breath, the choreography of surrender. When they rose, he offered her an elbow like a gentleman in a painting. They started for the stairs that led to the art collective. My lungs tightened like a knotted tie. "Go home," Cam murmured. "Or go upstairs and watch art swallow their guilt. Just don't go in there alone, Owen." I went home. I watched the apartment reassemble itself around absence. Mara returned near midnight, smelling of other people's perfume and apologies still in the wrapper. "How was your adventure?" I asked, keeping my tone somewhere between joke and dare. She took my face in both hands, the way she used to when we were learning each other's geography. "I didn't break the rules. A beat. I thought about it. It should have hurt more than it did. Instead, I felt a dull, professional calm, as if the room had whispered, 'Now you know where the resonance lives.'" I kissed her forehead. We slept on opposite shores of the same bed. On Monday, I ate lunch with Rowan in the park we always claimed from the bankers. He talked about his firm and a stray dog that had adopted his apartment building and the Mets being the Mets. I waited for him to blink too fast or laugh too easily. He was perfect. That offended me more than if he'd hung his head. "Anything you want to tell me?" I asked, watching 2 kids kick a soccer ball that moved like happiness. He took a long sip of his coffee. "I think," he said finally, "you're asking a question you already don't like the answer to." "Try me." "I went to Vesper," he said, "with a friend." He let the word friend carry more weight than it could hold. "We talked, nothing more. I left thinking about you the whole time." "The kind of thinking that calls me after," I said. "The kind that tries to figure out how not to break what matters," he said, and touched my shoulder in a gesture I suddenly couldn't decipher. I nodded as if he'd done something wise instead of something cowardly. We parted with a promise to grab a game soon. I walked until my calves burned, then walked more. The night after, Mara put on a dress that had once stolen my common sense and said, "Anniversary dinner early. The new rooftop by the river. They say the city looks forgivable from up there." Forgivable, the word rang. I said yes. Cam texted me an hour later. I hadn't given her my number. She'd found it. Filmmakers find things. "If you're okay, ignore me. If you're not, I'm at Blue Note at 9. I typed I'm okay and didn't send it. The rooftop was glass and breeze and a moon that had studied flirting. We ordered a bottle of wine that wanted to be remembered and a plate of oysters we pretended was a joke. Her knee found mine under the table and rested there like a small, brave animal. The city arranged its lights like a theater seating chart, and I searched for the row where our marriage still sat. "I made something," I said, pulling a small case from my jacket. Inside was a pocket recorder, the kind I use for field notes, and a pair of in-ear monitors. "A sound gift for us, if you want it." Her smile was pure art opening. "Now." "Now," I said, and slipped one earpiece in, handed her the other. I pressed play. The first track was us, 3 years ago, Sunday morning, her singing off-key as we burned pancakes and didn't care. We laughed in stereo at the memory. The second was our wedding toast, my father's voice finding its way through whiskey. The third was the Radiator hymn in D, recorded the night I found the matchbook, and beneath it, barely Mara's sigh when she thought I couldn't hear. Longing has a frequency. The fourth was new. Vesper's staircase groaned in a very particular way. The treads talk. I had stood there 2 nights before, holding the recorder at my side like a talisman. You could hear clinking glass and the bass's patient heart, and then, quiet but clean, Mara's laugh braided with Rowan's low murmur. No words, just temperature. Her fingers tightened on her glass. She kept listening. At the end there was only wind, the rooftops, ours, the cities, braided into something like a choice. "Tell me what's true," I said. She set the monitor down gently. "That I love you," she said, and the words didn't ring false. That something inside me wanted to feel new and misnamed it freedom. That Rowan gave me a mirror I didn't deserve. That I walked to the edge and looked down. "Did you jump?" My voice was steady enough to be kind. "No," she said, "but I took off my shoes." We let the sentence sit between us like a candle guttering. I thought of all the rooms I'd taught to behave, how some refuse their lessons and echo anyway. We were echoing. "Transparency," I said, "that was your rule." "I know," she whispered. "I broke the rule before the rule. I'm sorry for that." The waiter glided up with dessert, the kind of thing you share with spoons. We didn't touch it. We ordered coffee we didn't want just to give our hands a script. "Do you want to try again?" I asked. "Not the game, us, with actual rules, no audiences, just us." She looked out over the river like she was reading our names on its skin. "Yes," she said. Then, honest as winter, "I'm afraid." "So am I." We moved back into our bodies. I laid my palm on the table and she put hers on top, a small civil ceremony. The wind toyed with a curl at her temple. I tucked it behind her ear the way 100 habit versions of me had done before. She turned her face into my hand, closed her eyes, and kissed my wrist, an old, gentle intimacy that still lit the fuse. We took the long way home, walking through streets where other people's windows offered little exhibitions. A man learning the same chord again, a woman standing in a robe reading a letter, 2 teenagers making pasta at midnight and getting flour on everything sacred. At Vesper's corner we stopped. The basement door breathed heat and jazz. We didn't go in. For a while rebuilding looked like this. Morning coffee with knees touching. phones in a bowl by the door, therapy on Wednesdays where a woman in linen asked us to speak in verbs, a calendar vacation scratched not into the future but into the present, Saturday, be together, saying no to parties that smelled like performance, saying yes to walks that felt like prayer. We touched each other again the way you open a beloved book after a hard year, slowly, reverently, remembering the plot by reading the sentences, not skipping to the favorite page. Rowan texted, I met him. I didn't bring microphones. We sat on a bench where the dog he'd mentioned trotted over and leaned its warm, trusting weight against his leg. I'm sorry, he said, and looked like a man who finally understands apology isn't a tool but a beginning. I nodded. We let a 20-year friendship catch its breath and decide to keep living. And Cam, she kept showing up in the city's margins, the way some songs find you in different rooms. Once, I saw her across the street filming Rain on a neon sign. Another time, she took the seat beside mine at a tiny theater and whispered, happy endings are just middle chapters with good lighting. We didn't flirt. We didn't have to. She carried the reminder that a stranger can be kind without becoming a solution. Last week, Mara and I put on the song we almost always choose and danced in our kitchen again. The window was cracked to let in the honest cold. She wore one of my shirts and nothing else that I could see, and the hem brushed the top of her thighs with mischievous rhythm. I slid my hands into the back pockets like a man remembering the map. She laughed into my mouth, and we pressed to the edge of the old hunger and decided to step back with grace, letting the wanting be the performance and the promise. The night had the good taste to dim itself. Somewhere below us, a car alarm tried to sing. We ignored it. I don't keep the matchbook. I struck one of its thin little bones on the strip and lit a candle the color of warm whiskey, then threw the rest away. Flames are honest. They don't explain. They don't make rules. They refuse to be more or less than what they are. When Mara's shadow moved across our bedroom wall later that night, it moved like a woman walking toward the version of herself that remembered my name in the dark. If lies make a sound, so do repairs. They're quieter. They live in the plastic click of phones going face down, the breath you take before answering the hard question, the soft sigh when a door opens and the person you're choosing again steps through. I still hear everything. That's my curse and my gift. What the room tells me now is simple, and it doesn't echo. We're not perfect, we're present. And for the first time since the gold matchbook flashed its warning, I believe the room.